welcome to the Fantasy Football News Playoff Edition, brought to you by, as always, me, your host, Eric. And plenty of news to get to. But first, a big thank you to all of those that participated in my Thursday night football parties this year. It certainly was appreciated. I know that we had a pretty good time talking about football, eating great food, and just in general gathering. So thank you for that. With that said, I'm not entirely certain, I think I've said this before, what the schedule will bring next year. So who knows what kind of parties we may have. If I have weekends off, maybe we'll do a gathering on a couple of Sundays for some different games. I don't know. Hard to say, but at any rate, again, thank you everybody that participated. And now on to the scores. And we start this week in the OpSoup League with the first matchup here, Rebel Scum versus the Bye Week. And as you can see here, Rebel Scum handily defeated the Bye Week, 135.52 to nothing. The Bye Week actually had no players rostered, and so I was able to easily defeat them to move on to the second round of the playoffs. The same can also be said for the generic football team, who, although posting a low score of just 105.84, which I believe is the third lowest score, no, the second lowest score, next to the lowest score in the league this week, still managed to beat the bye week handily, as the bye week, again, scored nothing. So congratulations to the generic football team and Rebel Scum for moving on, where they are now guaranteed to round two, where they are now guaranteed at least a third or fourth place finish here in the league. On to the games that actually occurred. Two games of consequence. The first was Garbage Time versus Stars and Stripes. And this was the 5 seed going, I believe the 5 seed was Garbage Time, going up against the 3 or 4 seed Stars and Stripes. I can't remember. I can't keep the... Yeah, the 4 seed. The 5 versus the 4 here. Garbage Time being the 5 seed, Stars and Stripes being the 4 seed. However, things did not quite work out, as Garbage Time wins this one 142.2 to 124.76, thanks in large part to decent roster production from his quarterbacks in Deshaun Watson and Tua Tagovailoa, who I believe were both late pickups for Garbage Time. He's had them, especially I think Deshaun, sitting on the bench for quite a while, waiting for an opportunity to start him, and finally had that opportunity where he produced 14.64 points. And Tua, of course, on the Sunday night game, puts up 23.56 points in a wild one up in Buffalo. An excellent game from A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry supplemented those scores, and so, of course, Garbage Time wins this one. Stars and Stripes had a great game from Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley with 35.2 and 20.5 respectively. However, it just was not enough to overcome some great play over on the Garbage Time side, and there was not really anything down here that would have made a difference. Starting A.J. Dillon with 20.6 points over one of his other RBs or in the flex slot would not have gained him enough points to overcome that deficit. So I do not believe that there was a path to victory this week for Stars and Stripes. So unfortunately now Stars and Stripes is relegated down to the Consolation Toilet Bowl, where he is now. We'll get to those score updates in a moment. Garbage Time will move on to face me, Rebel Scum, in round 2 of the playoffs. No, I take that back. Garbage Time will not face me. Garbage Time will be facing the generic football team in round 2 of the playoffs. As the lower seed, they will face the higher seed. And so good luck to Garbage Time in that matchup. And then the second matchup of consequence here in the OpSoup League was Team Scott versus Don't Remember Didn't Happen. And this one came right down to the wire, folks. I don't believe Don't Remember Didn't Happen. I don't think they took the lead until the fourth quarter of Monday night's game. Team Scott had finished scoring on Sunday and had 145.2. And Don't Remember Didn't Happen trailed as they still had one player to play in Aaron Jones, Green Bay Packer running back Aaron Jones. And I believe he needed 12 point. He needed a good game from Aaron Jones. I'm not going to do the math because I don't want to. But Aaron Jones was not getting the ball early. It seemed like they were going more with Dillon and with some of the other options, and Aaron was passing the ball around quite a bit. And so it did not look like Don't Remember Didn't Happen was going to pull this one off, but late in the fourth quarter, Aaron Jones was able to score and thus came away with this barely eking out a victory by 1.34 points in this one, thus relegating Team Scott down to the Consolation Toilet Bowl. While Don't Remember Didn't Happen will move on to face me, Rebel Scum. As the number 3 seed, they will face me, the number 2 seed, in week 2 of the playoffs. So bad luck to them. Decent performances across the board. But again, I think that probably the great pickup here was Kirk Cousins, who had an absolutely monster game in the largest comeback in NFL history, at one point being down 33-0, I believe at halftime, being down 33-0, and coming back to win it 39-36. Kirk Cousins led that charge, spreading the ball around effectively, and yet scoring 42.9 points for himself, which I think without that effort, Don't Remember Didn't Happen is looking down at the toilet bowl. But that is not what happened, folks. They were able to pull it out. Team Scott over here could have helped themselves by starting someone else besides Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who has been injured for or out of the lineup for several weeks now, and yet remains in their starting lineup. Nothing they can do there. Or actually, they could have started virtually any of these other running backs, anybody in that flex slot, and won this game. Anybody else on their roster in that flex position wins them this matchup. But in fact, that is not what happened, so Don't Remember Didn't Happen moves on to round 2, thus guaranteeing a no worse than 4th place finish. Well, as I said, Team Scott moves on to the Consolation Bowl, the toilet bowl, as it were. And in that toilet bowl, I have some updated standings. So the way that works, it's not head-to-head matchups for the toilet bowl. We go by I forgot to load those up. Goodness sakes. Let me see if I can bring up a window quickly. In the Consolation Bowl, we do not go by points. We go by, or by head-to-head matchups, we go by total points scored over the course of the competition. So starting this week with the teams that lost in the first round for the playoffs, and then in the teams that I don't think I'm going to be able to get this up quick enough to make it happen here. Maybe I can't go there. I'll have to start a whole new thing. No. So, goodness sakes. You know what? I'm going to take the time, because what do you got to do? You got nothing to do but watch me tell you about the news. So we're going to call this scores real quick. And we're going to add audio output. And we're going to add some audio input. Existing mic, okay. And then we're going to add a couple of pictures because I have them here. Let's see, where are they? Images. And create new. Score 1. Isn't fun seeing behind the scenes. You know, I can't get through one of these without absolutely shitting the bed each and every week. But here's those. And then one more we're going to add to move into later, so I don't have to do this again for the later rounds. So only those of you in the Op Soup League will have to suffer through this inanity. Those of you that skip over this part and go directly to the other league will not have to see any of this. Because you will have skipped over the part where I loaded all of this up and got it ready for the next portion. Score 2. This is going to be Outcast. And, okay. And, yes. Why are you not? Oh, there it is. Okay. And Arso. There we go. And, okay. So, now, if we bring up one more thing, window capture. Nope. One more thing. Video capture device, which I believe is correct. Yes. The webcam. I got to throw that in there. And let's make myself tiny in the corner like per usual. Even smaller. Let's get even smaller down there for this. All right, so let's take a look now at the standings for the toilet bowl here in. Oh, I can't do it that way, or yes, I can. So, yeah, that's how that'll work. That's exactly how that'll work. All right, I think I've got it now. Let's transition over. Boom, there it is. So this is the current standings for the Op Soup League in the Toilet Bowl. Team Scott currently leading that, 145.2 with 145.2 points, while Team 1051 is in second place with 132.68 points, on only 12.5 points, 5.2 points behind. Rounding out the top 3 is Sandlot Turf Burns with 128.84, a 16.36 behind the first place Team Scott, followed by Stars and Stripes, Black Ops MC, and 12th Man Mafia. You can see those scores. It's relatively tightly packed in here for the first 5 positions before a pretty large drop-off there in the last place slot. But who knows? Anything can happen. Anybody could easily move into the lead in this one following next week's competitions. But again, the injury bug in this league has been absolutely atrocious, which we will speak about a little bit more in another segment. But that then moves us back to the live scoring window, where we will now talk about. Well, no, I think that's it. Wow, look how quickly that went by. Again, this is totally, these matchups don't matter head to head. These are the scores that everybody was able to post. Team Scott again leading that Toilet Bowl charge, despite again starting Clyde Edwards-Helaire week after week and a big old goose egg, but being propped up by excellent performances from Tom Brady, Trevor Lawrence, and Ramondre Stevenson has been just putting up absolutely huge numbers all season long for Team Scott, who apparently drafted very well and could potentially be winning this whole thing were a bit more attention being paid to the roster. So I think that's going to do it for the Op Soup League, and that will move us on to the Outcast League after this quick commercial break.
I'm flying to the Manchester United game. I want everything to be of a high standard. I want the most comfortable seat that transforms into a bed. I want to be looked after by the best flight crew, the best dishes from the top-rated restaurants. I want an up-to-date entertainment system. And maybe even Manchester United will be flying with me on the same flight. It's real.
And we do, of course, here at the Fantasy Football News, thank our sponsors for their ability, for giving us the ability to bring you these shows week after week at no cost to you, the viewer. That is all due to the sponsorship money sent in by our sponsors. So please support those sponsors with your hard-earned dollars. We would certainly appreciate it, and that way they know that our sponsorships matter. Moving on then to the Outcast League, we come to a few games here. The same general layout as the other league, 10 teams, 6 in the playoffs, 4 out of the playoffs, 2 with a bye week in the first round, which in this league were Mongo Mentality and Team Sesh. Both had the bye, and so have guaranteed themselves no lower than a 4th place finish here in the Outcast League. The 2 other matches of consequence were, we'll start here with the Fantasy Football Team versus Randall Access Memories. And you'll remember the Fantasy Football Team snuck into the playoffs. I shouldn't say snuck in. They got into the playoffs due to Stars and Stripes and Rebel Scum both losing and them having more points scored during the season than either Stars and Stripes or Rebel Scum, so that even on the same record, they were able to get in past both of us. And we remember how Rebel Scum lost last week with that 0.8 points. That is still a bit of a thorn in Rebel Scum's side, I've heard. So the Fantasy Football Team versus Randall Access Memories. The Fantasy Football Team makes a quick exit from the playoffs here in round 1 as they lose to Randall Access Memory 142.6 to 132. Largely thanks to Josh Allen, Dalvin Cook. Those were your big scores for Randall Access Memories, putting up darn near 75 points, just under 75 points for Randall Access Memories, while over on the fantasy football side, Trevor Lawrence with 38 was a decent performance there. The New York Jets team defense, lackluster 1-point mark, was no help. And so the fantasy football team now has relegated themselves to the toilet bowl with a 132 score. And on the other side of the spectrum, we had the Ballhawks versus Saints for Life. Now, the Ballhawks, you'll remember, their owner, Rob, was in charge of the power rankings this year and ranked himself in 4th and has now lost to the 5th place team, which I believe we'll also speak about in just a little bit. Saints for Life wins this one 120.2 to 99.65, thanks in large part to me, Rebel Scum, laying the jinx down and giving Kirk Cousins such a great performance. I believe somewhere around halftime, Rebel Scum owner Eric texted Rob talking about Kirk Cousins having just an absolutely atrocious game, and that maybe Amy had rode the Cousins bandwagon one stop too far. And then, of course, he completed the largest comeback in NFL history, and with that 45-point mark, propelled Saints for Life easily past the Ballhawks here in round 1 of the playoffs. So she is sitting pretty, looking to repeat as champion. Good luck to Saints for Life as they move forward. The Ballhawks will then move to the Consolation Toilet Bowl with a 99.65 score. And we can talk about some of the things that maybe the Ballhawks could have done, again, in another segment here coming up in just a bit. Speaking of the Toilet Bowl Consolation Prize, we have scores here in the Outcast League for them as well. And I will bring that up right now. There we go. These are the current standings in the Outcast League Toilet Bowl. I show you here the power ranking position, the team name, and then their current score, and in parentheses how many points behind the leader they currently stand, as these will be cumulative scores over the next 2 weeks now, a total of 3 weeks of the playoffs. Number 6 in the power rankings, the fantasy football team leads the current scoring for the Toilet Bowl at 132 points, with Stars and Stripes only 3.65 points behind at 128.35. Stars and Stripes, you'll remember, was ranked number 7 in those power rankings. Number 10 in the power rankings, I don't know if any of you remember. I may have mentioned it on the show before. I can't remember myself if I have mentioned it. Rebel Scum was ranked number 10 in the power rankings, is number 3rd here in the Toilet Bowl, and just barely out of the playoffs. but out nonetheless. With 127.2, only 4.8 points behind that 132-point score. You'll notice then there's quite a large drop-off from 4.8 behind to 29, almost 30 points behind, for the number 9 ranked Timinators, who are at 102.25 points, and in fourth place there for the Toilet Bowl standings. Now we look here at the Ballhawks, who in those same power rankings, again, were ranked number 4 in the power rankings. They are next to last here in the Toilet Bowl with a 99.65 score, 32.35 points behind the leader, the fantasy football team. And then the number 8 ranked Show Me Your Kittles, bringing up the very rear with 70.8 points, largely, I think, due in part to the fact that they did not start a quarterback as Russell Wilson was a known scratch with a concussion. 61.2 points behind the leaders, the fantasy football team. So that is the status of the Toilet Bowl there in the Outcast League. Let's go back to the live scoring window, and we can see that that will move in Week 16. Mongo Mentality will be taking on Randall Access Memories, while Saints for Life will face off against number 1 seed Team Sesh, who I believe was handed one of their losses by Saints for Life earlier this season. And so anything could happen here where Amy could end up repeating here in this league as champion. So good luck to both of those teams as they move forward. And, of course, good luck to both of these teams as they move forward with their championship hopes. That is going to do it for Outcast League scores. We will bring you now a segment called Crappy Decision.
Who made a crappy decision? 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 Who what made a crappy decision? Who they think?
Hey everybody, Terry the Turd coming at you from the Poo Lagoon. The playoffs have started and several teams got wiped out this week simply because they made a crappy decision in week 15. And I am here to let you know who they were. Let's get right to it. Connor was lucky to be in the playoffs at all and yet was unable to mount an effective offense against Randall Access Memories, largely due to his refusal to start backfield superstar Latavius Murray over the apparently washed Jonathan Taylor. Connor made a crappy decision. Connor made a crappy decision. Yeah, what was he thinking? The Ballhawks owner, Rob, must have been completely surprised that a team that fell below him in the power rankings was able to so easily defeat his mighty number 4 team. But that is exactly what we witnessed. But had Rob had the foresight to start Tua, Waddle, and Fant over Rodgers, Metcalf, and Hooper, he could have come out ahead in this one. Rob made a crappy decision. Rob made a crappy decision. Yeah, what was he thinking? Over in the Ops Soup League, we saw that little could have been done to help either team that lost in the first round, as injuries continue to pile up and affect almost every roster still left in championship contention. There was a very close match that came down to the wire on Monday night, but alas, the better team won, if only to be crushed in week 2. That is all for me this season, folks. Good luck to those teams still left in round 2, and I look forward to seeing all of you next year.
Who made a crappy decision? 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 Who what made a crappy decision? Who they think?
All right, so that was the What Were They Thinking segment for this week, and that will move us on to the Sleeper League. The Orwa Sleeper Late Season League had a bit of a mix or a crazy outcomes, I guess. If you'll remember, in the final week of the season, week 14, Team Rodlock was able to just barely sneak into the playoffs, as they scored just enough points to overcome the generic football team and move into that number 4 seed. Where this week they faced off against the Pasty Goats, the number 1 seed, who had went 4-0 on the season, but unfortunately just fell 7 points short as Team Rodlock 72 moves on to the championship game. And the Pasty Goats will be left playing for third place, I should say. Yeah, third or fourth, I guess. Yeah, either way, the loser of that game will be the 4th place team. Team Rodlock able to score those points with the help of Patrick Mahomes, Derrick Henry, and a huge game on Thursday night from George Kittle, who was 2 TDs, was absolutely outstanding score. We'll see here that Rodlock left an empty slot on his bench, on his roster even. He actually originally, I believe, had Lazard in that slot, but did not want to chance. He had the lead going into Monday night and didn't want to risk Lazard scoring negative points and costing him the win, so pulled him from the roster and was able to secure the win before the Monday night game. Also an excellent performance down here from the San Francisco defense. Was able to hand Team Rodlock that win, and maybe they can carry that momentum forward into the final week, or the final 2 weeks, as it will be a 2-week championship competition. And remember, here in the Orwa Sleeper League, it is winner takes all for the prize money there. And their competition will be Team Seawish 77, as they were able to defeat Rebel Scum 186.31 to 165.02, even though Rebel Scum had started Kirk Cousins and did get a 47-point effort from him. Just not quite enough on the rest of the roster to make up for great games from Brown, from Connor had a decent game. Nothing from Jonathan Taylor, but C-Mac also had a great game. Burrow with 35 points. So across the board, just an excellent performance there on the Team Seawish 77 side, as they will move on to face Team Rodlock in the championship 2-week matchup. That's going to be total combined score over 2 weeks. And so good luck to either one of those teams as they move forward. And then we see in the consolation that will leave, that will leave Rebel Scum facing the Pasty Goats for that 3rd place position. And 4th place position will go to the loser. And then the consolation bowl, the toilet bowl, will be generic football team or Team Tim Frazier. So good luck to all of the teams involved there in the Orwa Sleeper League. And remember, this is a winner-take-all league and will be disappearing after this season. This was just a familiarization kind of tool for myself to get used to using the Sleeper app as next year. I guess we can move on with some news here. Let's head back over here and fade back into this. Zoom, and there I am. So this year is the final year that the Ops Soup League will be hosted on ESPN, and it is also the end, as it were, of the Ops Soup League, as it will be permanently disbanded, and some of the members invited to move into the new Sleeper League that is being put together by myself. And that league is going to be, let's move over here and I'll bring it up. That is going to be the Columbia River Fantasy Football League. It's going to be a 10-team league hosted here on the Sleeper app. And as I said, many of you in the Ops Soup League will be invited to participate in this league, as well as all of you involved in the Orwa late season league. You as well will be invited to play in this league. We may move up to 12 teams. Right now, we stand at 10 teams, and it is currently 247 days, 17 hours, 53 minutes, and 53, 52, 51. You get it. Seconds until our draft commences for this league next year on Saturday, August 26th at noon. So, and that time is actually still at this moment subject to change, as again, I don't know exactly what my schedule is going to look like as we move forward there. So that is the announcement. Look for I'm going to be putting together a Facebook group for the Columbia River Fantasy Football League, as well as I believe we're going to have another website dedicated to news and events throughout the week. But we will see how that works. So there is the news there. The Ops Soup League, after this season, as it stands now, will be disbanded, and we will be moving to the Sleeper app, which I believe gives me a little more control over scoring, and just it's a real nice interface. So once you get used to using it, it's very nice. It's very slick, and so I think everybody will be happy with the move there. With that note, to move over to this league, just to give you all a heads up. We're going to be moving from a $25 entry fee to a $50 plus $5 entry fee. The $50 will go, all of that money will go, the $50 will go back into a pool to pay out weekly contests as well as the prize pool for finishing. Weekly contests will move from $5 up to $10 per week. And then the additional $5, the plus $5, is an administrative fee for my time putting together these videos and some of the resources that I need to do that, as well as it will be used to purchase a not fancy but a trophy for the winner of the league. So that's what that plus $5 will be for. That will not go into the prize pool. It's an administrative fee. But so that is the news there. So with that said, thank you everybody again for participating. Good luck in the playoffs to those teams still competing for a championship. And, good luck to those that even want to win the Toilet Bowl. I know I'm not sure in the Outcast League, I can't remember if we voted to keep it or not, but in the Op Soup League, there is a cash prize, a $10 cash prize for the winner of the Toilet Bowl. So thank you. Ooh, you know what I could talk about real quick is the results of the weekly contests. And I don't have them up real handy, but I can bring them up real quick. It won't take me hardly any time at all. If I just pop right over here, the $5 weekly contests for the Op Soup League saw several different winners. We can talk about Mike Frazier led the way, winning 3 weeks, so weeks 1, 12, and 13. Several people won 2 weeks. Corey won week 2 and 11. Casey W won weeks 5 and 8. Marcus won weeks 6 and 9. And then the $5 winners people who only won 1 week were Veronica, Eric, Helen, Mike J, and Randy, who also, even despite winning only 1 week, gets an additional $5 because the week he did win was the final week where there was a $5 commissioner's bounty in play. So congratulations to all of those folks that took money home, even though we have not totally finished scoring this league. Some of you will have a little bit of cash coming back to you from this league, so congratulations on that. And that is going to do it for the Fantasy Football News Playoff Edition this week. As always, I'm your host, Eric. I thank you for watching the Fantasy Football News this season. And as always, here at Fantasy Football News, we're better than you.